Guys, welcome to my new video, and today we're doing a walkthrough of Necrotic Wake 16, Tyrannical with Necrotic. This is a couple of days ago. I decided to do a video on this because Tyrannical Necrotic Wake, especially if you're pugging, is kind of insane. So let's roll the clip here. This is going to be a 16. We timed this. We ran with a Guardian Druid. We did a really weird pull at the very start because we decided to use Heroism with the big pull at the start because we wanted to make sure that we have Heroism for the second boss. And how many people know the second boss on Necrotic Wake? It is something that is insanely annoying towards pugs because you have to interrupt the ads, you either have to kill them, and I'll talk about this. There's new strats about CCing the ads. And you can see here the Guardian Druid got 99 stacks here and is running. Now, Resto Shaman. Resto Shaman, my Shaman is about 218 item level. You can see my stats here. I'm running around 23 crit. My haste is 45% because Unbound Changeling proc at this given time. My haste is very low, around 10%. My mastery is quite low and my verse is quite high. A lot of people come down to my channel and ask me what stat priority do I go with. Highest item level, guys. There is so much emphasis towards highest item level. For me personally, the stat priority intellect is twice or even 3 times better than the next best secondary stat. More like twice. So generally speaking, getting the highest item level is going to be the way to go. If you have similar item level rings, you can maybe play around a bit. I kind of like having a bit more haste in Mythic Plus, but I don't have to. Again, one of the big advantages of Resto Shaman here is being interrupting, or able to interrupt. You can see here Ring of Peace. You can see our Guardian Druid has 33 stacks. Ring of Peace is doing really well. I have my stun. Well, I could be using my stun totem. I'm not at the moment. So the utility of Resto Shaman is insane. But generally speaking, what I'm mainly doing here is Riptide Healing Surge. Riptide Healing Surge. Again, in terms of the talents that I'm using here, you'll see Undulation, you'll see Echoes, you'll see my Stun Totem. I'm using Earth and Wall Totem as well. You can swap from Earth and Wall Totem to Vigor in order to increase HP. That's also really viable. Now you can see here during Prideful. I want to talk about Prideful a bit, because there's a lot of different ways of dealing with Prideful. As Resto Shaman with Prideful, Healing Rain is a perfect time to put Healing Rain down because everyone should be stacked. The problem here is, and this is what a lot of people, you won't see it this much in here, but if you have a Fire Mage in your group, Fire Mages a lot of times might not be boosting your Pride. And because of that, Fire Mage damage is going to be actually really low. Because if you know what Fire Mages are like, they basically just live for those boost windows. And outside of that, it can be quite low. So your Prideful might take a decent amount of time. What I'm trying to do here, because I'm Necrolord, again, Necrolord, we'll talk about that. I think Ventir is better for Mythic Plus, but because I'm running Necrolord, I also have Primordial Wave here. I also have Cloudburst. Cloudburst is definitely something that you should run in Mythic Plus. So I'm trying to include my Necrolord ability, Primordial Wave. You can see right now for 14 seconds. I'm trying to include this into the Cloudburst window, so I have 10 seconds. So right now I'm probably gonna pop Cloudburst. I have Riptides on as many people as possible. I'm using Healing Wave. Again, I could have, in this situation here, popped the Riptide on the Mage and then used Healing Rain on the DH in order to spread my Healing Waves on everybody. That would have been a better option, but I'm not really worried. So I also have Earthen Wall, and I'm gonna use that at the end, or close to the end. You can see here, you can see my grid too, turned white. When it turns white, it means that the members of the party are standing in my Earthen Wall totem, and they're getting damage reduction. And you can see here the Windwalker got caught, but that's fine. My Cloudburst is 46k HPS right now. It's gonna pop right now. Everyone's full HP. Now I'm a bit dodgy right now. I use my Ascendants. Again, I use my Mana Tide totem before a pull in case I have mana issues. I am running Riptide Legendary, so there is a chance of proccing Riptide. So right now, do I burn my Spirit Link? I'm not gonna do it, but either way, I burned my Ascendants. But either way, I could have burned my Spirit Link because I'm not gonna need Spirit Link for this. So this is a Kyrian special ability. We should have popped this before. You can use your Steward to do it. You have to talk to your Steward, and you'll activate these orbs. Everyone should pick up an orb, and it's going to deal damage and healing to nearby enemies. So you need to stand close to the mob. I'm making a mistake right now. I go straight to the mob. I'm not sure if the mage is actually getting the benefit because the description of this... Okay, the mage didn't pick up the orb yet. So basically, I got selected by this. This boss is extremely simplistic and easy. You get selected by stuff, you stay away, it spawns ads. Kill ads. That's literally it. The problem is that in Puck scenarios, and this happened to me before, sometimes people don't focus on orbs, and if they don't focus on orbs, they're gonna explode. They're gonna put this debuff on everyone. It's gonna be a wipe on Tyrannical key. So right now we don't have hero. We're using, I think we got a spear. Again, you have to be familiar with spears in Necrotic Wake. There's a lot of there's a lot of items in Necrotic Wake, like spear. You have your hammer, you have your shield, you have your orb that you can pick up, and they're going to give you different kind of benefits. Spear is going to increase the damage taken on the boss, and like this, again, you have to play around this. We're not worried about this on the first boss because the first boss is not too hard, but the second boss is going to be, we're going to be saving items. And I'll talk about that a bit later on when we get to the second boss. Again, I'm lava bursting, flame shocking. There's nothing really going on here. I'm keeping Earth Shield up on the tank. I'm making sure that Riptide is rolling on them. There's not much to Resto Shaman gameplay in Mythic Plus. It comes down to Riptide Healing Surge. Why am I using Healing Surge? Because I have no mana issues. If I had mana issues, I would use Healing Wave. The only time I use Healing Wave is when I'm trying to proc I use my Primordial Wave. Because Primordial Wave is only going to be procced by using Healing Wave. And the same kind of priority basis in here, if you saw, we skipped the ads. We kind of CC'd the ads and we killed the boss. If we didn't do that in time, it would have been a wipe. So that was a pretty ballsy move to call here. I have to mention one thing here. This is very, very important, guys. Necrotic. I'm sure a lot of people had issues with Necrotic with certain tanks. Guardian Druids are criminally undervalued. Why is the Guardian Druid able to take 40 stacks here and not losing any HP? There is a legendary to do with, I can't remember, was it Trash? I think it's when you use Trash. I can't remember exactly, but there is a legendary that when you use a certain ability as a Guardian Druid, I think okay, the Guardian Druid is going to reset here. My Spirit Link was terrible because we didn't communicate properly, but they use their speed bonus and they're going to be resetting here and there's going to be no issues. Now they have 65 stacks. If that was a Blood Decay, they would have been dead. But either way, why can they tank so much? Because they have a legendary that is going to, when you use a certain ability, you're going to get an Absorb Shield. That Absorb Shield does not get affected by Necrotic. So all of a sudden, now, you might say this, it's a bug. It possibly is a bug. Guardian Druids are by far the #1 Necrotic tanks. They can tank so much because that absorb that they get by using a certain ability does not get affected by Necrotic. It does not get reduced by it. If you're playing Discipline Priest, your shields do get affected by Necrotic. So is this a bug? Is this a miscalculation by Blizzard? Either way, that means Guardian Druid is hella tanky on Necrotic, and quite frankly, Guardian Druid is really tanky other weeks, and it's criminally undervalued in my opinion. It's one of my favorite tanks to heal, and if I see a Guardian Druid in my group, come down with me. Be my friend. Join me. Be my, like, I'll put them on my Battle.net and I'll play with them. I found Guardian Druids to be far more enjoyable to heal than even Vengeance DH. Vengeance DH will be kiting 24/7 and it's still getting chunked a lot of the times. Guardian Druid is actually one of those, like, what I call classic tanks. Stand there, take a hit, and let a healer heal you up. And that's what I'm, at least that's how I say it. So we still missed one trash back here. The way that we're doing it here is we need to make sure we get prideful for the second boss. That's very, very important. You need to get prideful right before the second boss, and we're gonna get hero before the second boss. Here, you have to kill the Necromancer, only single target only. Again, I'm using my interrupts here. This is inspiring mob, so you cannot see the mobs around it, but again, just focus the #1, focus the single target ad. That's the number key. If you're doing Puck scenarios, people might not be aware of this, and they might be like, hey, I'm gonna AoE all the mobs around it, and you might wipe. So that's a big issue. You need to make sure you tell people this is because everyone dies afterwards. Now there's going to be an orb here. There's going to be a Kyrian only ability on the left that we're going to activate right now. You can see the person here activating it. And there's going to be an orb that anyone can pick up. Or there's going to be an orb that's going to be used later on. So we activate the ability. I'm trying to interrupt certain things. I'm still using Lava Burst, 24 stacks. Again, Riptide, Healing Surge. Nothing really changes. There's a debuff here. I'm picking up this. I'm making sure that I'm going to get close to the ads in order to deal damage. 28 stacks. Again, as a Resto Shaman, the only tanking cooldown you have is going to be Spirit Link, which is very unfortunate. The pure HPS throughput of Resto Shaman in general is really good. Okay, I'm keeping my Healing Rain down again. I'm keeping my Earth Shield down. I'm keeping Riptides down. Again, I have Cloud Burst running. I might use my Primordial Wave right now. I don't think I'm going to activate it. I'm keeping my healing rain down. I still have Earthen Wall for that oh crap moments at the end. Again, this is something to remember. This is what a lot of the prideful tactics are like for high keys. If you get prideful on yourself, do not move and let everyone else move around you. 99% of high mythic level groups for prideful are going to go around this. You get prideful debuff right now, don't move, everyone else moves. If you end up moving around, you're just gonna lose DPS and you're still gonna hit people. So that's something that I've seen people not use before. I think that's the best tactic to go around. As you can see, someone gets I have a weak aura head that tells me when it's going to explode, and I feel that's pretty mandatory. So here, we pick up the orb. This orb is going to interrupt people who stand in it, and we're gonna use this orb for the second boss for mages to make it really safe. You can use this orb also for the next trash pack here. You can use it. I can't remember if we actually end up using it. I don't think we did, from what I remember, but I think we end up using a spear or hammer here instead. I can't remember the exact order of the items, but this trash pack on, again, purging. I need to make sure I'm gonna purge. Again, as a shaman, you need to make sure you use your utility. You're basically super strong in terms of utility. Again, yeah, Elvery probably used the spear on this. Generally speaking, this trash pack on fortified is almost impossible. Like, you have to use something. This wasn't fortified, so it wasn't too bad. But man, this trash pack, a lot of the times members will either use invisibility or they're going to res or die or type of deal. This is another big thing. Resto Shaman, go engineering, guys. Engineering is so good. First of all, you're gonna get a battle res, and another thing, you're gonna get a belt attachment. I don't have it here right now. Actually, you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it there. You're gonna get a belt attachment that's gonna let you go invisible. It's a 2-minute cooldown. It does not share a cooldown with your potions. So if you have invisibility potions, you'll notice that your mana potions will share a cooldown with your invisibility potion. So if your group tells you, hey, we're gonna invis the next trash pack, but you're like super low in mana and you end up using mana potion, you'll just be like, hey guys, sorry, I used the mana potion, you're gonna have to res me. This engineering belt attachment is gonna give you 2-minute cooldown. It's gonna give you invis, and it's okay. I showed you my thing. Again, it does not share cooldown. There is a chance of backfiring. I've not seen it backfire before. I don't know what it does. So, guys, don't blame me for some reason you're going to fail a key, because engineering battles is really good. So what we're doing right now, we're waiting for the trash patrol to go away, and we're gonna go straight to these. We're gonna go straight to these, and then we're gonna pull them up top. This is a different strat. A lot of people might end up using it going on the right and picking up hammer. We're just gonna pick up a spear after we kill these ads. It's very important, if you have pets and if you stand on this ledge, do not have pets. Because if you have pets and you stand on this ledge, they're gonna go around and they're gonna end up pulling everyone. There has been wipes like this before because of this, so be very, very, very careful. These mobs actually chunked the tank, man. I was actually so surprised to see how much damage they were doing. Again, this is not fortified, this is a Tyrannical, but they're still doing a lot of damage to a Guardian Druid. Guardian is even trying to kite here as much as possible in order to reset, but they can't. Again, at the end of the day, I do have Spirit Link, worst case scenario. And in here, we're also, I think we end up using a... I can't remember exactly, but what the Guardian's doing right now, they're going invis and activating the boss. Activating the boss ORP, because we don't want to waste too much time, because after this trash pack, we're gonna get prideful. So again, single target Necromancer. This is very, very important here. I'm using my, again, I can't really do a stun here anyways. Again, we did use a hammer. We did use a hammer there because it is a relatively hard pack. I don't think that pack is that hard as much as the pack after the first boss that I talked about. So we have prideful here. We're bringing it to the boss. Again, this is my weak aura telling me that the person is about to go off in terms of the debuff. Again, we're using healing rain. I'm hoping everyone's gonna stand in it. Again, the tank got it. We're not moving behind this. I have Ascendance. I have Spirit Link Totem. I don't want to burn any of these because I want to make sure I have them in case things go wrong. If things don't go wrong in the next boss, I don't need any Spirit Link. I don't need any Ascendance. I don't need anything. Again, at the end of the day, I'm just putting Riptides. I am Necrolord. I should talk about the fact that Ventier is extremely popular option right now for Mythic Plus, because Ventier gives you this Chain Harvest, which gives you a huge burst damage and huge burst healing. And it also is affected by Unleash Life. It is also goes into Cloudburst. And again, DPS. Necrotic Wake doesn't give you DPS. So right now, we're going big here. We have a prideful buff. We have our hero. We're using our spear. I think we're also using, I can't remember if you're using a hammer, but we also have an orb available. And we're gonna use orb later on. So for the first trash pack here, we're not popping, we're not doing anything. We're not CCing, to some extent we're interrupting. I'm gonna try and interrupt this guy, X, in this turn, because you can see my wind shear got interrupted. I went on cooldown. So because we have so much buffs, we're not really focused. Why are we tanking the boss all the way in the corner? If you tank the boss all the way in the corner, you only have a smaller radius of spawning adds. If you tank the boss in the middle, adds are gonna spawn left, right, center, behind. You're kind of like, you don't know what's going on. So if you play a Blood Decay, you can massacre, but who's gonna invite a Blood Decay in Mythic Plus? I'm joking. But either way, definitely tank it in the corner for better chance of it. Again, avoid the beam. Very basic mechanic. What's going on? I'm DPSing here as much as possible. If I could have popped the DPS potion, but I didn't at this point. I could have to some extent. Now the second one, I can't remember what we do if we orb this. I think we're gonna orb the second one just to be safe. So what do I mean by orb? There's an orb in Necrotic Wake that I showed you where you can pick up, and this is going to interrupt the casting of the mobs. So you don't actually have to interrupt. And I think we end up using here, I haven't checked this one before, let me see. They interrupted it. Just to play it safe. Just to play safe, but we actually end up killing it either way, so it end up being very smooth. Now, we're making this to some extent, making this look easy. I've done this boss probably 6 times on the Tyrannical week, and we wiped on this boss on pugs all of the time. I don't want to devalue the annoyance of this boss. This boss in a disorganized pug is insanely hard. Now, how can you make this a lot easier? The adds on this boss have been nerfed. You can CC them. You can use things like Shackle. You can use things like Hunter's Trap. I think you can use Incap as well. In order to, and if you keep them CC'd, when the boss casts that ability, the mobs don't explode. That has been changed a couple of weeks ago. So CCing the adds is definitely the best way to go, in my honest opinion, if you have the CC. I would definitely do that. Because it really negates, you don't have to interrupt, you don't have the DPS, you don't need to meet the DPS requirements. It is far easier, guys. So if you're doing a pug, try and get some of the hunters. Again, Marksmanship Hunter right now is in a really good spot. It's really hard not to bring a Marksmanship Hunter. Priest, again, depending, Discipline Priests are really strong. So if you can invite those people to CC on this Tyrannical boss, definitely do it. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. We were able to do it because we're on Discord, we're focusing on interrupts. Again, I have to stress this. Again, this is going off the point. Guild groups, Discord groups are going to be far more enjoyable and far better than joining a pugs. The amount of griefing that I got from joining a pugs this week on Tyrannical week on these bosses was just insane. It's just the success rate was so little compared to joining a guild group. In terms of Resto Shaman gameplay, in terms of what's strong, in terms of what covenants, you'll notice that this week, again, I'm using footage from Tyrannical week, but this week you have a nice push week. You have nice push week with Fortified, you have Quaking, Sanguine, it's not a bad week at all. You also should have double potency conduits from Necrolords if you are running Necrolord. Now, a lot of people are running Emny for a lot of content because Emny is really strong. I will probably try double potency conduit for Mythic Plus. And that's not Emny, that's the first Soulbind type of deal. So I probably will try double potency this week because I feel like running something along the lines of Swirling Currents. Swirling Currents, you can see right now I have Swirling Currents buff here, I have a Swirling Currents buff here. That basically means after using my Cloudburst Totem, my Riptide, my Healing Wave or Healing Surge, you're gonna heal for more. I think it's just across the board the best conduit you can use. The second conduit that I'm thinking about using in Mythic Plus, I'm going to be trying this out. I'm not saying this is going to be the best way to go. It's just something that I'm going to be trying out because I am Necrolord. I am using Necrolord mainly for raiding, but I also make use of Necrolord abilities in Mythic Plus. I probably will use the Urge Shield one depending on the tank that I'm using, or I could be using Heavy Rainfall, which is the one where you use your Healing Tide Totem and your Healing Rain is going to heal for a lot more. I think that could be very interesting on Prideful. So if I'm doing like really high prideful or something, I might end up using that. If I'm running with a fire mage who's not boosting prideful, I might end up using that because it can take a really long time to kill the trash or kill prideful. These mobs here are actually insane. I'm popping Spirit Link straight away because you can see the amount of damage is happening here. It's just crazy. The tank is gonna get, again, on fortified weeks, I think this room in here is far too overtuned. I think they got nerfed to some extent, but a lot of these corpse collectors or stitchworks, they can't be CC'd. They put a dot on your tank. Like the tank just has to run away. I'm trying to like slow and realize, hey, you can't slow. The only reason what we did there, we had a DH taunt. If you have a warrior, you can have a warrior taunt and pop their shield or the ability. I can't remember what it was called, but they're gonna survive it as well. So that's the only way to actually deal with this mob, is taunting. And again, we had we had a Windwalker taunt with Touch of Karma. And I think that it nearly one-shot them. So that's the amount of damage on 45. This is going to be so awkward, and I think tanks are gonna get chunked so much on these trash bags. The important part here is proccing prideful in a good time, because when you're going to be, when you have all of these ads killed, when you killed all of these ads, you're gonna have these like boss phase entering, where you're gonna have 2 smaller ads in the middle, then you're gonna have ads on the left, ads on the right, and they're gonna be auto triggering combat to some extent. So that can be really, really, really awkward if you have prideful spawning at the wrong location. So it's very, very important to also have prideful spawn decently here. You have to keep in mind also that I find this boss to be more awkward than the second boss, because you will see you can fall behind and it can be really, really rough. In terms of the trinkets that I'm using, you can see I'm using Sire's trinket right now, which is actually quite a bit weaker in this group because we don't have anyone else with this. It scales with the people in the group. I think there are certain PvP trinkets that are decent as well. I'm also, I think, running Unbound Changeling because it's just so flexible right now. Unbound Changeling is just gonna give you, again, eat the food for every reset, or every day you can eat food. For the first time you eat the food, your Unbound Changeling is gonna change that. Again, I'm using Primordial Wave. I've wasted Primordial Wave here, actually. A lot of times I might end up like just missing Primordial Wave, and I should have used this. So in terms of legendaries that I'm going to be using, right now I'm using the Riptide legendary, and I don't know if you can see it here. You can see it here. It's on my head slot. I'm using Crit Verse on it, which is basically mainly for raiding. My Resto Shaman is made for raiding, and a lot of the optimization is made for raiding. You can see here I'm just trying to maintain flame shocks on everybody. Sometimes I'm using my Primordial Wave to apply a flame shock on a mob to deal damage, because I know I'm not going to need healing. So I'm using the Riptide legendary. I probably will try Chains of Devastation. I'm not 100% sure. I kind of want to try out Chains of Devastation. There is also a chance I'm going to craft the Mana Tide legendary in order for high prideful. So I feel like I will maintain like 3 legendaries. If I were to do PvP, I probably would get the Earth Shield one. And because you'll notice that PvP gearing is just so extremely strong right now, there might be a chance to craft an Earth Shield one if you're doing PvP. Because PvP, again, if you're doing rated BGs, it can give you like a really good way of getting that 2100, 1800 if you're a PvE player. If you're a PvE player, I think rated battlegrounds are the best way to get your nice rating, so it might be worth it. So you can see here the tank had to kite because, again, Ring of Peace didn't do anything, Slow didn't do anything on that mob. So keep in mind, this trash packs can be really, really hard. The playstyle here, again, Riptide, Healing Surge, Riptide, Healing Surge. The complexity of Resto Shaman comes in with the fact that they have so many utility spells and trying to navigate those utility spells. I think here I fail, if I can't remember. Again, you get these marks and you need to make sure that you hit each of the players. Again, we had our DH stand in the middle of it, so they died. But we end up using a battle res. Again, a good part of having a Guardian Druid. I have a battle res as an engineer, so keep that in mind. I got chased here and I have to run away. A lot of the times you might be able... Again, this is kind of... These trash pack mobs are showcasing what the boss is going to be like. So this is generally pretty easy if you can kite, or if you can aim them at the same direction. I'm an orc, so I have a special class ability as well that I activate once in a while. Again, very, very simplistic. I'm not really using Healing Rain outside of Prideful. And a lot of people tell me, like, why am I not using Healing Rain or outside of the duration? Because I won't get enough usage out of it. People are gonna step out of it. There's not gonna be enough people into it. The only time they can guarantee healing rain in Mythic Plus scenarios is during Prideful, when everyone has to stack. And that even goes for like organized groups. Don't get me wrong, there are certain moments in dungeons where people are gonna be stacked no matter what. So it's not always, but healing rain mainly, at least in my experience, I only get a full value out of it during Prideful. And why am I not using Chain Heal a lot of the time? It's because I feel Chain Heal, again, you have to make sure that Chain Heal is gonna bounce on enough targets. And Chain Heal is genuinely a long cast ability. It's a long cast ability, and I'm basically trying to prioritize my healing surges on people who are going to die or need immediate healing. So majority of the time, I won't be using Chain Heal. I think if I were to do like bursting weeks and things like that, I probably will use Chain Heal a lot more. But the bread and butter of Resto Shaman and Mythic Plus right now is just like in BFA. Just like in BFA. Riptide and Healing Surge. And just making sure you're gonna get as many abilities as you can into Cloudburst. Just like in raid situations, again, the tank has to kite here. Just like in raid situations, I feel it's very, 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 very important to try and include as many spells as you can into your Cloudburst. And again, all of your Covenant abilities go into Cloudburst, so making sure that you have Cloudburst up before using it is very, very important. Very, very important. I feel like in Mythic Plus, it's not as big of a deal as it is in raids, and I'll do a raiding guide later on. I'll probably do a raiding commentary video where I go through it in terms of how to use Cloudburst. Again, you saw me popping Cloudburst here before the trash bag pull, because I feel there's going to be need for me to pop my Cloudburst at the end of it. Now, tank has 45 stacks, and they're kind of in trouble here. They're kind of in trouble here because, honestly, 56 stacks, and they're going out. Even their legendary is not being able to do it. I'm going to pop Spirit Link just in time, but they're going to stand in Spirit Link, but they're going to die eventually because the mob is just not dying at this point. It's 73 stacks. It's 73 stacks, the tank, and the tank podded. So the tank is Night Fae, and there's a pod ability, a pod Soulbind, which is very, very strong. Actually, to be completely honest, Druids in general have it really easy because Convoke the Spirits is pretty much the biz for most of the specs for Resto Druid, or for Druid in general. So they can just go Night Fae and can do the pod ability. Pod ability is great for PvP as well. And again, we proc Prideful right before the boss. This was the excellente time to proc Prideful because there's not going to be auto mobs triggering. If we proc Prideful before this mob, this trash bag would have triggered to us and kept us in combat. So right now, again, of course, I don't want to use any cooldowns. I don't want to use any cooldowns here at all because I end up using it because we're not killing it fast enough. This boss is going to be hard. And I have to talk about this boss a bit more because I think this is secretly the hardest boss in Necrotic Wake on Tyrannical Week because of the tight DPS checks. Now, we have Prideful and we have Hero. What's gonna happen here, this, again, I'm assuming most people know about this boss, the hook ability. You can double hook here. You can actually double hook. If you don't kill the ad fast enough, so first of all, you get the hook and you need to stand here and it's going to hook the boss. Now, after this, we're gonna proc Heroism. I'm gonna proc Heroism or Bloodlust, whatever you want to call it. And we're gonna DPS as much as possible. The tank is taking a lot of damage here. They're taking a lot of damage. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit scared. If this wasn't Guardian Druid, I wouldn't be as scared. Again, I get hit here, I think, because I'm a pleb. But either way, the tank is also, there's also going to be another arrow. There's also going to be another arrow on a person. And you need to make sure that the person stands behind the boss so the boss gets pulled. Because the boss is going to fixate on someone and try to run away. So what happens here? You can see the arrow here on this guy. And what happens if the boss fixates on me? The boss is gonna move this way. And the arrow, the hook, is gonna move this way. So I would actually screw up the boss hook. I would need to stand somewhere close to the person in order, if the boss fixates, they're gonna run towards the arrow. If you get my drift on this. And this is very important. But fortunately enough, that didn't happen. They hooked the boss straight away. And what happens here, we're almost killed our trash bag. So what do I mean by double hook? This is what would happen if we actually didn't kill the ad in time. If the ad would have been awake or still alive, the boss goes here and the ad at this given moment would have used the hook ability or would have fixated on someone. So the person who's fixated on it goes to the location of the boss jumps and goes back to it, the hook lands just when the boss lands and you hooked it straight away and you got more DPS time on it. Unfortunately, we killed the ads, which is not a bad thing at all. Because if you don't kill the ads in time, you might have a situation where you're gonna have two of these at the same time. If you have two of these at the same time with the boss, And this is something that I found out. Your tank is gonna flop. On Tyrannical, your tank is absolutely gonna flop. I played with multiple different tanks, and honestly, they got one shot. If you don't, you have to use things like pain suppression. You have to maybe use things like Spirit Link as a Resto Shaman and everyone stand in it in order to prevent the tank from dying. We don't have 2 adds at the moment because we killed the adds in time. So maybe that's actual the play. Maybe that's actually the giga play to do in Tyrannical weeks to kill the trash pack mobs. Or to kill the mobs because you don't want to have 2 of them. Again, we do have a Guardian Druid which is very, very strong. I think the Guardian Druid is gonna end up dying here because we end up just focusing fully onto the mob, onto the tank. And you can see the hook is on me, but I'm kind of plebbing out here. We're kind of hoping to kill the boss, and the tank dies right before it. So this was a really tight call, and we used Hero and Prideful. I definitely feel this is one of the harder bosses and more awkward than, again, Necrotic Wake. A really rough week in my honest opinion on Tyrannical weeks, and I think it's one of the harder keys. Now the next boss, honestly guys, this is like really snooze fest. This is the most boring boss in the whole game. It has so much not HP, but the shields for this boss are so strong. So I'm just gonna explain the basic mechanics for this. This is like, there's nothing to really explain. So you're gonna have someone who's gonna need to be dispelled. They need to make sure that everyone is out of their circle. So the basic gist of this, spread out. If you have melee, they're gonna have to do more annoying movement, but there's nothing to do about it. And after that, you're gonna have this thing happen where you just have to go around. And if you stand in this is gonna be a one shot. You're gonna die. So basic mechanics, avoid this. So what you saw what happened there is the DPS got taken out. Now the DPS have this secret phase where they have to go and kill an ad. And every time a DPS gets chosen on Discord, the person starts crying and they're like, oh my god, why is it me? Why is it me that always gets to do it? There is different tactics to avoid being taken. So this is something mega brain type of deal. You can see here Havoc DH. Havoc DH can use Metamorphosis right at the time when you're about to be taken. If you use Metamorphosis, you do a bit of a jump and you're invulnerable for a split second. If you have a Warlock and you have Demon Gates, you can take Demon Gates right before you're being taken and you won't go down. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. And after, so you saw what happened here. And after you come back, after a couple of seconds, you're gonna drop this stuff on the ground. So after you come back from killing your ad, make sure you go in a corner. Because if you don't go in a corner on Tyrannical, you will run out of space. Or there is a chance of running out of space if your DPS is slow. And that's basically it. There is nothing special to it. The healing requirement to this is pretty easy. If you're a mobile healer, again, I'm using Graceful Spirit, Spirit Walker's Grace. I really like that talent. At the end of the day, I think you could go Nature's Guardian for extra survivability in Mythic Plus. I like being able to heal on the move because I feel the biggest issues with Resto Shaman right now is healing on the move. The fact that they can't dispel poison or disease is really annoying on things like Plaguefall. And they don't have a tank cooldown. If they would have those things, they would be the unlimited healer. But that's pretty arrogant of me to say because Resto Shamans are in a really good spot right now. They're arguably one of the best healers in the game if you consider their performance. Now they did get a recent nerf. They did get that 4% throughput nerf and a 10% healing rain nerf. That didn't do much. Because Resto Shaman utility in raids and HPS is very strong. Most of the raiding guilds in Castle Nachia, Mythic, and any content will have 1 or 2 Resto Shamans. Again, we had a DH fail here, but that doesn't matter. We have 2 battle reses, so that's actually not a big deal at all. You can see here we're kind of running out of space. But Resto Shaman is arguably at this point the most played Mythic Plus high key pusher. Resto Shaman is arguably one of the strongest raid healers, probably combination with Discipline Priest and Holy Paladin in Mythic Castle Nachia. If you look at the statistics, and I might make a video about this later on. If you look at PvP arenas, I think Resto Shaman is also in a really good spot. So arguably speaking, you could make a point that if you want to cover all bases in World of Warcraft right now, Resto Shaman is going to be the way to go. Is Resto Shaman gonna get another nerf? A lot of people have been asking me this. I really hope not. Why do I say this? I think Resto Shaman's Spotlight in the Sun, there's nothing wrong about this. Holy Paladin had a lot of Spotlight in the Sun in BFA 8.2, 8.3, they were the best healer overall. Resto Druid has been one of the best Mythic Plus healers for a really long time. Let Resto Shaman be in the spotlight for at least one raid here. At least that's what I'm saying. Maybe both other healers instead. I think Resto Shaman being good for the first time in Mythic Plus is actually really nice. And when I say good, I mean Resto Shaman in BFA was also good in Mythic Plus, but their community perception was really bad. So a lot of the times it's not actually about the class being great or bad, it's more about how the community views that class. And I feel that's, like for example, I think Prot Warriors are really not in a bad spot right now, or at least they could use maybe they could use some buff, but their community perception is so bad that no one's ever gonna invite a Prot Warrior to even a +10. And I think that's terrible. I think that's actually terrible. Right now, community perception is definitely towards Resto Shamans, and being Resto Shaman is really good. You see how long this boss is? My mana is nearly out. You see how long and boring this boss is. So we're gonna time this key +16. This was a pretty flawless run in my opinion. I don't think we could have done a 2 chests unless we optimized something a little bit better or brought the meta classes or whatever. This is pretty meta classes anyways. Generally speaking, I think Necrotic Wake on Tyrannical is pretty annoying, and I think this is why I decided to upload this, because I think people are gonna find more use out of this than me uploading a fortified key of Necrotic Wake. And this week we're going to be doing a lot of push weeks, and guys, let me know if you want me to upload more stuff in terms of commentary. Again, I got my achievement here for the 15s. I definitely haven't been pushing a lot of keys, but let me know if you want more of this commentary video. Let me know if I missed out on something in terms of Resto Shamans, in terms of rotation, in terms of talents, in terms of Covenant abilities. I really want to hear it. And if you enjoyed this content, please do subscribe and like the video, because it shows me that people enjoyed it and I should do more of this, if you know what I mean. And thank you guys, and I'll see you in my next guide. Oh, and in terms of loot, I didn't really get anything. There was a ring and a chest drop. I got my juicy 35 anima. Let's go, Blizzard!